You know, since it's September, there really is no better time to celebrate Christmas? Look, if Walmart can put out Christmas decorations, then we can talk about a Christmas-themed X-Files episode. Anyways, today we're looking at How the Ghost Stole Christmas, which is definitely not a play on How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Premiering December 13th, 1998, How the Ghost Stole Christmas has Mulder dragging Scully to a spooky mansion on Christmas Eve because he thinks it might be haunted. I brought this up a million times, but I still do not understand how this man gets this woman to do things that she clearly doesn't want to do.
Mulder, I've got wrapping to do. It's the night before Christmas.
Oh.
I don't know, those gifts look wrapped already. Also, it's not like Christmas just snuck up on you. It takes place on the same day every year, Scully. Scully tries to give Mulder crap for dragging her out there, but again, she didn't have to come. Mulder gives her the rundown on this spooky mansion, which is basically a couple star-crossed lovers took their own lives on Christmas Eve so they'd never be apart. And now every Christmas Eve they return to this spooky mansion to do something.
Mulder, don't you have somewhere to be?
Just gonna take a look.
Mulder? Not really. Most of his family is either abducted or dead. Mulder heads inside the mansion, but wouldn't you know it, Scully's car keys are missing, so I guess that means she'll be joining him as well. She does try and blame the missing keys on him, but why would he steal her keys? It's not like he brought her here so we could get pregnant and then chop her up with an axe. Oh wait, I think we just did that Tales from the Crypt episode. Of course, in classic haunted house fashion, the front door magically locks all by itself.
I really have to get home.
Oh my god, did you see all the cobwebs? This place needs a really good dusting. Scully starts yammering on about the absurdity of a benevolent spirit coming back and haunting a house. But is she not a good Christian girl? Are spirits not a large part of that? I'm sure it was the wind that just opened this door, right, Scully? My favorite part is tough guy Mulder, who was the one that wanted to come here, is standing back while his 5'0" partner goes to investigate. Why would he be spooked though? It's not exactly the first time they've dealt with ghosts. I would love to know who's paying the electrical bill for this abandoned mansion. And also, why is such a cool mansion abandoned? Why, if I had the money, which I never will, but imagine if I did, I would have done the exact same thing. The agents pull up some rickety floorboards and discover bodies? Although strangely, the bodies look awfully familiar. Alright, so they might be Mulder and Scully, but that doesn't make much sense because they're still alive. Unless...
Hey, Scully. Oh.
This is the same room.
In classic haunted house fashion, no matter what they do, they keep entering the same room. Honestly, that would annoy me way more than some spooky ghosts. Does the haunted house have an effect on time and space, creating some kind of spooky loop? Anyways, Mulder and Scully do the one thing you should always do in a situation like this, and that's split up, of course. Although they both end up in the same room again, yet somehow separated?
This isn't one of those home invasions, is it?
No.
Good. Would you like me to show you the door?
Alright, you can put the gun down, Mulder. It's just Ed Asner. He's not a ghost. Yet. Regardless how things might appear, Mulder still firmly believes this man is a ghost, though he just thinks Mulder may be a little mentally ill, which isn't exactly wrong if we're being honest.
Narcissistic, overzealous, self-righteous egomaniac.
That's a category.
Now, if this man was a ghost, would he really be giving Mulder a psych evaluation? Although it's not so much a psych evaluation as it is a roasting. This guy basically just calls Mulder a lonely loser. Ghosts are such pranksters. For someone that doesn't claim to believe, Scully sure is twitchy. Can we stop pointing guns at the old Hollywood celebrities, please and thank you? Also, I don't want to freak anyone out, but Gillian Anderson is almost the exact same age now as Lily Tomlin is in this episode. Sorry, I just felt like adding a little existential dread. Just like how Mulder got toyed with by his ghost, this one is doing the exact same thing to Scully. Except this ghost isn't going for the loneliness angle, but more so the codependency angle.
Hold it right there! Don't make me shoot you!
You know, Scully, I don't think shooting a couple unarmed old folks is really gonna look good when it comes time for that big promotion. I've never noticed, but when Scully looks through his head, the image is sort of zoomed in a bit. Maybe this ghost skull acts like a magnifying glass. Okay, so the episode basically goes full Beetlejuice from this point on. It seems like these ghosts do these hauntings as like a post-life career choice. If you still have to make ends meet in the afterlife, I'd prefer to just not exist at all, thanks. Mulder has his run-in with the lady ghost, who he calls Lyda, even though it's spelled Lydia, which brings me back to the Beetlejuice connection. At this point, I don't even think he cares about escaping. He's just taking all this in like a child would.
There it is.
Lyda seems to think Mulder and Scully came here because they're so in love that they just had to spend eternity together. You know, kind of like how she and Maurice did. But chill, Granny Ghost. I don't think Mulder and Scully are about to shoot each other.
Mulder is pretty much the same. I don't show my hole to just anyone.
Why are you showing it to me?
Whew, there are so many ways I could have gone with that one. Scully awakes from a little cat nap. Not sure how she could sleep at a time like this, though. Again, though, she pulls her gun on an unarmed old man. Maybe it's warranted, though, because how did he get her car keys? Scully forces the man to open the door, and in walks Mulder, who has the worst aim I've ever seen.
There's no way home.
She's barely moving and he misses every shot? I'm not saying I'm an expert marksman, but I'd like to think that even I could hit something as large as a grown human. I think he needs to speak to a shrink or something. Maybe Ed Asner was right. And what the hell is with that crazed look in his eyes? Who knew that a couple ghosts could do what the Syndicate couldn't in 5 years? Oh, it was a trick. But wait, does that mean Scully is still shot? If their whole plan was to make these two do a murder-suicide pact, I think Lyda shooting Scully as Mulder is sorta cheating, no? Mulder walks in to find a bloodied and near-death Scully.
Merry Christmas, Mulder.
What are you doing?
She couldn't have gotten him a sweater or something? Oh, it was the damn ghosts again. Mulder and Scully don't look great, but you know, they've looked worse. It quickly dawns on Mulder that maybe they weren't actually shot and that the whole thing was just in their heads, and I guess he was right. How did the door suddenly become unlocked again though? Did the ghosts really just give up that easily?
We almost had those two, didn't we?
Almost had him.
Oh, I guess they did. You can tell this is a real haunted house though, because who the hell moved that carpet? Do you think this is gonna make Mulder and Scully's working relationship weird now that they basically both shot at each other? Though Mulder did walk in on Scully nearly sleeping with his doppelganger, and they managed to move on past that awkward moment, so they should be fine. Meanwhile, Mulder's nestled all snug on his couch, while watching Scrooge with a cynical slouch, when at his front door there arose such a clatter, so he sprang from his spot to see what was the matter. He tore open the door and looked out the frame, and standing there was Scully, and he was glad that she came. Scully questioned if the ghosts were real, and Mulder replied, of course they were, you know the deal. The two agents stood there and talked through their trauma, and Mulder assured her there would be no more drama. He handed her a gift wrapped in a paper so neat. She offered her own, a small Christmas treat, and as they unwrapped them, fading out of sight, some idiot with a mic cried, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." How the Ghost Stole Christmas is another really fun episode that, despite being Christmas themed, I think it's spooky enough to work as an episode that you could watch on Halloween too. I mean, think about it. You've got an eerie mansion, thunder and lightning, cobwebs, old libraries, a roaring fireplace, and ghosts. It basically checks off every box you'd come to expect from a haunted house story. But it also has enough Christmas cheer, mostly from the music choices, that I think it would work well for a Christmas viewing as well. One thing I'd like to point out though, if the episode were filmed in Vancouver, I can guarantee there would be snow. Hell, in the episode Kill Switch, there's a scene where it just started randomly snowing. But here on Christmas Eve, you're telling me it's supposed to be storming outside? I will say I know very little about Maryland weather, so maybe they don't get much snow on Christmas, I have no idea. The episode itself, though, is a very fun ride. The guest actors Lily Tomlin and Ed Asner are both great in their respective roles, though I will say I'm still not a fan of more recognizable faces on The X-Files. It's fine every now and then, but it's going to happen much more frequently now that the show is in LA. There are a lot of funny and inventive gags in this one. One of my personal favorite scenes is actually when Mulder scares Scully. I don't know why, but the way he makes her scream always puts a smile on my face. The special effects in this one are really well done too. Yes, I pointed out the little zoom in or whatever you want to call it with the head effect, but it's still really neat. You can really tell they were just having fun with this one, and sometimes that's all I really want from this show. Though the directive from Chris Carter to make this season more comedic, I think hurts it in the long run. How the Ghost Stole Christmas is one of those rare episodes where the X-Files went full holiday special. If your idea of holiday special involves haunted houses, blood loss, and Mulder watching TV alone. Written and directed by Chris Carter, it's a mix of twisted Christmas spirit, psychological horror, and a weirdly heartfelt look into Mulder and Scully's relationship. Now, behind the scenes, this episode was basically born out of guilt. By season 6, the crew had just moved production to Los Angeles, and Carter admitted they'd been blowing through Fox's money. To make up for it, he promised the studio a bottle episode, something small, cheap, and confined to one location. Of course, this being the X-Files, that cheap little episode turned into one of the most elaborate productions of the season. Carter later laughed about it, saying the whole idea came from wanting to stage a scary story in one room. The show usually thrived on sprawling locations, but here the goal was intimacy. 2 agents, a creepy house, and ghosts messing with their heads. The big image Carter and Frank Spotnitz wanted to build toward was Mulder and Scully dragging themselves bloodied across the floor. Everything else was just a way to get to that point. To make it work, production designer Corey Kaplan got a call asking if they could shoot an entire episode on one stage. She joked about doing a My Dinner with Andre style setup in Scully's apartment. Instead, she was told, build a mansion. Which definitely sounds like a cheap little bottle episode to me. So with about a month's head start, Kaplan designed this huge Victorian house interior, complete with trapdoors, secret hallways, and collapsing bookshelves. She later described the balancing act. It had to look decrepit, but not too decrepit. Bleak, but not too bleak. Construction supervisor Duke Tomasic called it some of the best set work he'd ever seen, and honestly, he wasn't wrong. Producer Paul Rabwin summed it up the best. Corey Kaplan built this wonderful set, where you go from one room to another, but it's really the same room. And if the set design wasn't impressive enough, they also landed Ed Asner and Lily Tomlin to play the ghosts. Tomlin had actually been a fan of the show for years and asked to be in it. Originally, Chris Carter wanted Bob Newhart for her husband, but he turned it down. As for Ed Asner, he just sort of became available, much to the delight of the producers. Speaking of locations, the only part of the episode not shot on a stage was the exterior of the haunted mansion. Locations manager Ilk Jones found the Piru Mansion, located in Piru, California, where much of the episode Rain King was also filmed. However, the day before filming, the entire hill behind it caught fire. Jones raced to the scene, convinced production was about to lose everything. Fire crews were everywhere. Helicopters were dropping water, planes were buzzing overhead. Luckily, the fire fizzled out about 300 feet away from the house. Just another day on the X-Files, of course. Even with all the effort put into this one, the episode still managed to save money compared to the usual globe-trotting monster hunts. No big supporting cast outside of Tomlin and Asner, no crazy effects, though the ones included were impressive, no endless location shoots, just 4 actors, a house, and gallons of stage blood. And that blood came with its own challenges. Gillian Anderson remembered how it would dry fast and turn into this gummy mess glued to her skin. A few other fun bits: in the original script, instead of watching A Christmas Carol, Mulder was supposed to be watching Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yes, the slasher with the killer Santa. Personally, I can't see Mulder queuing that up on Christmas Eve. But myself, on the other hand... Also, during the scene where Mulder and Scully were covered in blood, there was an early draft where Scully asked Mulder if he's afraid of being alone, but Carter reworked it to be more universal. So instead, they both admit that they're just plain afraid.
Are you afraid, Mulder? I
am too.
For Carter, the episode ended up being the cheapest of season 6, but also one of the hardest to film. On the final day of shooting, the cast and crew worked for 19 hours straight, from Friday afternoon until 10 a.m. Saturday morning. Not exactly a Christmas miracle, but the end result was a strange, funny, and oddly sweet holiday X-File. How the Ghost Stole Christmas currently sits at 8.2 on IMDb. This is one I've gone back to many times, so I'm going with an 8. Next up, we have one that I'm very excited for, as it stars none other than Bruce f***ing Campbell in the episode Terms of Endearment. So what do you think about How the Ghost Stole Christmas? Let me know down in the comments. Well, I'm going to continue enjoying the Christmas season because it's definitely Christmas time and not Spooktember. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you're having a great week and stay spooky.
'Twas the night before Christmas in a house full of ghosts. Mulder, Scully, and their special guest hosts, Ed Asner and Lily Tomlin, would show them the way. But the doors are all locked, and they're here to stay. The X-Files, an all-new Christmas episode, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.